So those are the normal causative agents. Because I know you're the cell nerd, do you want to get down in how the jejuni tricks your body into attacking your myelin sheath?
Yeah, so just as in other forms of acute weakness in the ICU and other common etiology that we see in or pathology that we see is myasthenia gravis, and we've talked about that a little bit, also an autoimmune mediated, and essentially your body is creating antibodies against a specific pathogen, right? In this case of Guillain-Barré, but those Guillain-Barré, and but the antibodies that you're making cross-react with a piece of tissue in the body that carries similar characteristics. And so then
you don't want to try and say it.
I'm going to say it. I'm just trying to give it a down low on the whole thing. Yeah. And so then these antibodies, instead of attacking the pathogen or the abnormal substance that's in the body that they were formed to attack against, starts attacking the body's own tissue. And then it causes this problem. So I had to look it up because I wanted to know. I was like, why are the antibodies that are created after a Campylobacter infection specifically going to cause autoantibodies to target the myelin sheaths and cause?
You're like, what does the myelin sheath have to do with this?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I got my little notes up because I'm not going to be able to say otherwise. But the immune response mounted against a microbial antigen. Antigen is just any type of like badness that's not supposed to be there, right? An antigen isn't just isolated to a bacterial cause. It can be viral. It can be something else that's irritating the body. So body cross-reacts with this microbial antigen, and it can react with structurally similar epitopes. That's when I said the tissue in the body. But Campylobacter in specific expresses this lipooligosaccharide. Right. And so you make this autoantibody against this specific lipo or oligosaccharide, which is also very characteristic of the myelin and the Schwann cells. And so that's why it cross-reacts and starts attacking your myelin sheaths, because this is a demyelinating. Yeah. So attacking the myelin polyneuropathy. So that's why Campylobacter specifically results in these antibodies attacking there.
And there's some clues in the names about where this thing exerts its effect, right? So, like one of the points, and this is like maybe if level 1 medical terminology is just understanding like a position or a thing, like describing what something is. This would, I think, be like level 2 in the sense that, when we talk about like polyradiculopathy, you hear all the time, just refers to usually the nerve root.
Right.
So I think one of the important things in this is the center of effect, because it's going to be different, like Guillain-Barré relative to myasthenia gravis, relative to multiple sclerosis. Those are all going to impact different parts. And broadly speaking, and we're not going to do like a whole neuroanatomy lesson here. God. Good news though, I will caveat really fast. If you go over to our YouTube page, I actually have started creating public playlists for these things. So if you're interested in good videos, which there's only one on there right now, but that's where I'll be putting them in. And Medicosis Perfectionalis does a great video on this where he talks about like the 8 cardinal rules of neurology and how let me rephrase that, what you should be able to either, contrast against or figure out if it's this or that.
Yeah. I love that too, that you're providing that other resource, because obviously we had to accumulate our knowledge from somewhere. And so we're obviously using lots of other resources to kind of form our own perspective on things that we present here. So we'll be able to let you guys watch some other stuff that can provide good input.
And I was thinking about it, and I won't go, this isn't like a super deep thought, but I was just like, as you listen to this, because you and I do the same thing, we'll just mainline a bunch of different like YouTube videos while we're in motion somewhere. And you will hear, like specifically like the B-cell mimicry stuff. Yeah. You will hear that described so many different ways. And yes, they're all technically true, but sometimes you hear it a certain way and you're like, that makes sense. Right. I like that. That clicks for me. You know what I mean? So, the Diet Coke has come back.
Let the dogs out.
Yeah. So we'll talk as far as, neuroanatomy is concerned. You have your central nervous system, you have your peripheral nervous system. This is a peripheral nervous system problem.
Nailed it. I love that.
Done. Cast over. Cast is over.
Mic drop.
Yeah. But so the point is that your central nervous system is going to be your brain, your spinal cord, and your optic nerve. That's about it. Your peripheral nervous system is essentially everything else, like everything that feeds off. And then a lot of people will often mistakenly categorize cranial nerves as central nervous system, but they're actually not. They're centrally located,
Right.
but they fall under the guise of the peripheral nervous system. And like when you look, and there's a lot of really cool facts about the optic nerve. One day I'm going to do a whole video about the optic nerve. But the optic nerve.
Can't wait.
The optic nerve is its own self-contained unit. Essentially has its own covering and everything, and it's the only external expression of the central nervous system that you can look at.
All right, very interesting.
But there's a lot of at some point, and I'll have to make like a list of certain things that have ocular manifestations, which then you can differentiate as being a CNS affecting thing.
Right.
So anyway, this primarily affects the peripheral nerves. Like you said, it's going to demyelinate. It's going to make them not be able to conduct signals. I think that plays into its presentation.
Yeah.
And again, I tried hard in this episode to not make this a Guillain-Barré and myasthenia gravis or and something else, because you could spend hours contrasting those things.
Right.
So because, let's take myasthenia and Guillain-Barré, because those are two very common ICU entities. They're almost opposite.
Yeah.
Kind of in the way that they present, but similar. So it gets confusing in the sense that one's ascending, one's descending, right? So Guillain-Barré is ascending, right? So our weakness is going to start in our legs and our hands. Symmetrical, not unilateral. Right. Unilateral weakness is a red flag sign.
Unilateral weakness with any other signs of, neurologic dysfunction should, you need to be trying to localize a lesion.
Yeah.